Hello, family. I'm Rob, and I'm a real alcoholic. I want to welcome everyone to the Atlanta Step Up Society. Change your thinking, change your life. Book study. This week, we had a member of our fellowship pass away, and Jet. And let's just take a moment of silence for him, and then the serenity prayer. Serenity prayer. God, grant me serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I just want to tell you, if you didn't know Jet, to me, he was an exceptional man. He had a good heart, and he helped thousands of people in this city when it came to recovery. I can honestly tell you that. I knew him for 20 years. He came over here and he helped me a lot. He did a lot of work with me, a lot of work. So I myself personally, I'm grateful to having him in my life during this journey. It's a sad thing, but I don't particularly believe in spiritual death. I know the body die, but we return to source. So I know where he is. And you know, this is the chapter called We Agnostics. And I told y'all, one thing good about this chapter and any chapter is spirituality is all inclusive. What I believe, you don't have to believe. What you believe, I don't have to believe. I had done enough experimenting with different things that my higher power allowed me the opportunity to reach where I'm at on my own journey. That makes sense? So I allow people to journey and do whatever they need to become spiritual. I can honestly tell you one thing, it is a pattern though. There is a pattern to this. I have studied and invested. See, I invest in my own recovery. Honestly, I spent thousands of dollars, CDs and books, investing in my recovery. I meet a lot of people. I work in the public. I meet a lot of people. Most people I meet, y'all, they spend their money on what they want and want somebody to give you what you need. And then at the end of the day, they weak as water. Any crisis come through their life, they crumble. They crumble. I lived long enough on this earth to see it a lot. And I'm not talking out the side of my neck because I used to be like that too. It's a pattern. All through the Bible, if you just take your time and read it, you'll see. Everybody have a higher power, but before they get it, they lean on their own understanding. God say, I'm going to provide, I'm going to make you the father of all nations. You know, this is the infinite talking. I'm going to give you descendants that you can't even count, multiplied by the sand and the seas and the stars in the air. I'm going to give you everything. I'm going to make nations out of you. You're going to have a son. You're going to be able to go all over the world and for infinite, for long as no time on it. I'm going to give you all of that. It's going to be your seed from you and your wife. He steps out of that and get his own little baby. Because he figured God taking too long with that promise. My point is, we all do our own thing. Everybody. There's not a soul on the planet that ain't did their own thing and hit rock bottom in some form or fashion. But the beauty of the thing is, in our program, we have a way out of the rock bottom, from despair, from hopelessness, from suicidal, from alcoholism, from drug abuse. we have some steps that will guide us out of that miserable condition. See, without those 12 steps, I wouldn't have made it. I went other places. They had no steps, and I got nowhere. We have spiritual steps, and if you work them, they will give you a happy, joyous, and fruitful life. Well, you don't have to be in bondage in your head. I see people talking all the time. I hear this all the time. I need a job. I want a job. Give me a job. Stop praying to the God of job or begging for him. Create your own job. The power of creation is in me. If I'm a son of God, why am I begging somebody down the street for something? Makes no sense. It's in me. This power is in me. I have a birthright to it. I have a birthright to create out of my own imagination. I know how to use my imagination to receive the gifts of God. I don't have to beg. I did before, though. Before the 12 steps, I was so good of a beggar, I was the best beggar you can meet. I walked the streets. God, please let me find $10 so I can get high some more. I was asking for money to continue to use. For me, my higher power is in me. I just had to do the 12 steps to remove the things that block them. See, God is invisible. I don't see him with these two eyeballs. Last week we read that if you can see it, you're operating from your weakest point. That's the weakest point in this third dimensional world that we live in. In the invisible world is where everything comes from. In the spiritual, intellectual world. Do this make any sense? Yes. I see some people nodding like, yeah, buddy. Then I see somebody say, whoa, I don't know. But that's why I said it's inclusive. You are where you are. For me, it's invisible. For me, it's a power that's greater than me, that's in my imagination. I've been having a pinched nerve in my neck, and it's been tingling coming down my arm. They sent me to x-ray first. They said it's in this 6 and this 7. C6, C7. Okay. Then they say you have to get an MRI. That means going in tube, whoop, in the 30-minute, whoop, come out. 5 or 6 years ago, maybe 10 years, I would say 10 years. 10 years ago, I had to go and get an MRI. I needed it. And I remember getting in that tube, they go in there, claustrophobic as I don't know what. Oh my God. I was so sick up in there. I couldn't breathe. I was gagging. They kept saying, be still, be still. My heart coming out my chest. I'm sweating. I couldn't do it. I went on and I had to fight the whole time I was in that tube. So, but I have invested in my own recovery. This time I knew about fear. See, I done grew. I know that fear is an illusion. There is no fear in my life. I only know what solutions are. Yesterday I went there. When I was riding up there, I already put in my mind what I'm going to do. I did 3 things. I got there. I know that I don't have to be no fear in my life whatsoever. I am not afraid of anything or anybody. If you walk around me and be around me sometimes, you see, he must be a nut, but I am not fearful. Why am I going to get clean and sober and then be scared about something? That makes no sense to me. I was getting in that tube. I did 3 things. I put in my imagination that I was in the Bahamas. There's a little beach that I like to walk in the middle of the day. And I put me and my wife on the beach walking. going toward the casino. I had to make it fun. Then, I remember a time when me and Jet we had a lot of shoes. A lot of shoes, maybe 500, 600 pairs. And we were doing something with them, donating them stuff. I remember that. And I remember teaching this class, doing the disease concept, how we do it on the board. So the lady said, "Are you ready to get in the tube?" I said, "Yeah." I was lying down. She put me in the tube. First 10 minutes, I did the disease concept. I was given this class in Texas. I'm just hooked on Texas. And I was up on the board in Texas doing the disease concept. Took me about 15 minutes. When I did that, I shot over to Jet. We was in the back there, and he had this, like a van. It was full of these Air Force Ones and all these shoes. And we were doing that. I was over there. I finished that, and I went to the Bahamas. But me and my wife were walking. She said, "Hurry up, hurry up." And we were walking on the beach. And my feet was in the water, and I could feel the water on my feet. Then I finished that. They said, "Bob, you can come on out the tube." The lady asked me, the nurse asked me, "How did it feel being in the tube?" I said, "I don't know. I wasn't in there." I wasn't there. Religions, most religions believe in, they got one thing in common, or two. They all believe in a deity, some kind of a God, and all of them believe in eternity. Whether it's eternal life in heaven or eternal life in hell. They believe it's going to last forever. Most religions. Am I right or wrong? The only place I know that's eternal for me is in my wonderful, beautiful imagination. It's beautiful, ain't it? That's where it's at. I can close my mind, close my eyes, take my mind anywhere I want to go, stay there long enough, Jesus come there, he'll manifest it for me to show up in my life. He said, "I go before you, prepare a place. When you get there, it's there." Let's read. That's my spirituality. It ain't for everybody, but it is for a few. But it did make sense, didn't it? That was all day scripture there. Turn to page 48. Listen, I'm going to tell you something that's beautiful. Y'all know, as soon as we get out of We Agnostics, we start doing our personal steps, right? Starting on step 3, then we're going to go on through 4. So we're going to have these steps, right? And I've been noticing, like like tonight, I'll be walking around, I'll be listening to people, right? And I hear resentments. People are talking about resentments. 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 And here's the deal. The willingness and the preparation to do the 4th step is already taking place. Because that's the first thing we do in the 4th step is resentments. People are already talking about these resentments. So it seems like the spirit is already there. That makes sense? Even though I ain't passed out no papers or anything like that, the spirit or the preparation to do the work is already taking place. Because I can hear it in people's conversations. That makes sense? All right, let's go to page 48. We talked about electricity last week, about how we know so little about it because we only operate from the switch. I know that electricity, like Benjamin Franklin there, make the all this kind of stuff with the lightning rod and all this from the kite and electricity from the lightning. I know it comes from water and static electricity. I know all this stuff, but I never made any. You know, I never been around no plant that really produced electricity, not me. I know it'll shock you. And I know if I went over there and turned that switch on and off, it'll work. I believe that if I can plug up a TV and push power, it'll come on. Same with a computer. Plug it up, put the little wires in, hit the on button, screen will pop up, and it's on. But in life, scientists and everybody believe, and I tell you that if you are operating where you can touch it and see it, like the switch or just the hit button on the power, you're operating at the weakest point. That's the weakest point of most things. That's where most people live their life, only what their eyeballs can see. That makes sense? Investigate nothing. I did that in church. I didn't investigate the church to see how people really, really, really worked it, how they really became Christian. All I wanted was Jesus, bam, and me clean and sober. I was operating at the weakest point. Then it didn't work. I condemned them. That makes sense? I didn't do no investigating. I didn't go to no school. I didn't stay around no people. I didn't include myself in nothing. Didn't do it. But I did do one thing. I did tell them it don't work. I ain't by myself. I told them it don't work. All right, let's go to page 48. Down at the bottom. Everybody nowadays believes in scores of assumptions for which there is good evidence, but no perfect visual proof. And does not science demonstrate that visual proof is the weakest proof? It is being constantly revealed as mankind studies the material world that outward appearances are not inward reality at all. To illustrate. So what they're saying is that as the more science, if you was like, you know what, you could take the best telescopes this is amazing stuff because I like it. I like science and animals and stuff like this. They could take the best telescopes. You know, like the galaxy we live in, they can look out in space through the telescope. Now they're only looking in a hole, you know. You know, when they can see billions more galaxies like ours, that's phenomenal. That means it's huge. I'm talking about billions more than what we live in. And they're only looking in a hole that big. So they're not really seeing everything, just a little bit. What's going to happen when they make a bigger hole, a bigger telescope and spread it out? They're going to see more billions and billions and billions and billions. The little frog that lives in Brazil, it's about big as this fingernail. This thing, you know, the Brazilian nut trees, they're huge. They're way up in the air. This little frog, and they got big leaves like this. So outward appearance would be that little frog. You probably couldn't see him unless you had a magnifying glass and really knew he was there. If you just walking through and didn't know he was there, you just wouldn't know. But if you saw the little frog, you say, "Oh, that little bitty frog can't do nothing." That would be an outward appearance, right? This frog right here, climbed. Is the mother and the father? They climbed this tree. Frog, little bitty thing, little, all the way up to the top. The mother. She go all the way up to the top. The leaves are like this, and in the leaves is a little bit of water. She lay her eggs in the water. I'm talking about, whoa, skyscraper. As soon as the eggs is laid, now she come back down. All right. Well, once they hatch, she come back down. Then the father start up. He grab food and he starts up the journey. He feed the little babies, and he come down, and here she go. How in the world they learn that? That's their life. Salmon. If you go to Alaska, I went to Alaska. It's streams in Alaska, like little rivers, all going out to the sea. Salmon, let's say it's 200, really more than that, but I'm just going to use the number 200 because we know we're on the internet now, and people come back and say, well, you gave the wrong number, so I'm letting y'all know it's wrong before you email me back saying it's wrong. So it's wrong because I don't know. I'm just hypothetically, I know it's more than 200. But 200 little rivers going into the ocean. Now, I do know this, internet. The salmon that's born in those streams go out to the ocean, and they stay out there exactly 3 years before they have to spawn and come back. When they come back, not one salmon misses the river that it was born in. They all go right back to the same place they were born, lay the eggs, die to start the new generation. Once the babies are born, they eat the dead flesh and all the nutrients that's there and start the journey. This has been happening since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of time. So every time you look at that little fish and you eat it, now you're just not looking at the outward appearance. You might be thinking about where they come from and what the journey they had to go through. And does not science demonstrate that visual proof is the weakest proof? Is the weakest proof. The prosthetic steel girder is a mass of electrons whirling around each other at incredible speed. These tiny bodies are governed by precise laws and theories, and these laws hold true throughout the material world. Science tells us so. We have no reason to doubt it. When, however, the perfectly logical assumption is suggested that underneath the material world and life as we see it, there is a all-powerful, guiding, creative intelligence. Right there, our perverse streak comes to the surface, and we laboriously set out to convince ourselves it isn't so. We read wordy books and indulge in windy arguments, thinking we believe this universe needs no God to explain it. Were our contentions true, it will follow that life originated out of nothing, means nothing, and proceeds nowhere. What they're talking about in this paragraph